Hello and welcome. Angela Meiritz-Reid here, Stampin' Up demonstrator based in Christchurch, New Zealand. Thanks for joining me. Today I'm going to be making this card. It's for the Global Design Project and our theme this week is love. And just wanted to let you know that all the products I've used are available at my online store and are listed in the description box below. I've also created a PDF tutorial which is available via my blog, and I've popped a link for that in the description box too. And if you're not subscribed, please do. I'd love to have you along each week. So starting with a balmy blue card base, I'm just going to fold that in half and burnish that along the bottom there on the join. And then I have got another layering piece of balmy blue and a piece of this gorgeous balmy blue country gingham cardstock, or card, sorry, it's DSP. So I'm just going to add some glue to the back of that. Pop that on there. So it's just a tiny little margin around that, and then I'm just going to pop this piece on dimensionals. Just adds a nice little bit of a lift and creates a bit of shadow, which adds a bit of interest too. Just spread those out across there. Take all those little backs off. And then that's just going to get popped on there and just nice and equal from all the edges. That's good. Then the next thing I'm going to do, I've just got this little bit of white paper and just a little bit of the DSP that was left over. So I'm just going to add a little bit of glue to that. And pop that along the bottom. It's a good thing with glue, you can just move it around a wee bit if you don't get it quite in the right place. And I'm just going to trim that little bit off there, and then with this just pop a little bit of the Stampin' Seal in each corner, and then I'm just going to tuck that inside the card. Just adds a little bit of interest to that insert without me having to go to too much trouble. Right, so next I'm going to do this little gnome. They're so cute, those little gnomes. So I've got the gnome there and I've got stays on. So I'm going to need my foam mat. I'll just put that under there, give that a good stamp up. And I want to die cut that. Just make sure I've got enough room around the edge, because I'm going to stamp while I'm here the little bit of grass just to add a little bit of interest. So just tuck that in there. Oops, see, that didn't. I'll do that in another spot. I'll do the balloon first. I didn't press down it evenly on that. I'll just do that there. And then I've got a little bit more room here, so I can just tuck that on there. That's better. And I'll just bring in my little mini machine, which if you sign up this month or next month, you can get that as part of your kit, which is fabulous. And also they do one, this beautiful blue, boho blue. So if you have any questions, if you live in New Zealand, don't have a demonstrator, like to sign up, just give me a message. I've got a gorgeous team of people. Right, and it doesn't matter if you're not in Christchurch, because we do often do our meetings online. So that is that one there. Just put that out of the way. And just going to actually I might watercolour that first, so it's probably easier while it's still in there, and bring in my colours and start watercolouring. And I'll just get a bit of scrap of paper, always handy. So to watercolour this little person, we'll start from the top and work down. So I've got Granny Apple Green. So you can either use the ink refills, which I have here. So you can either drop a little drop of ink into here, or alternatively just get an acrylic block and just pop a drop on there. So it just depends what you prefer. Maybe if you don't have the refills, you just want to use it from here. So I just want to add a bit of water onto that. So I'm using the shimmery white cardstock, which is great for watercolouring. And I'm just putting a bit of water down so it won't just grab the paper. And then I'm just going to take the dark in here. Depending on how much water you've put down, it will sort of do a lot of the spreading for you. And then I just want to take a bit of that colour off, then pick up some of that that's there, take it over. And actually I'll just grab that from here. This is quite good, your chamois, just for cleaning that off and taking some of the, if it gets a bit wet. So you get that nice blending without having to do too much yourself. It sort of does it for you. And you can always, just if you want to add it, make it a little bit darker, so it does dilute once it starts sort of spreading over. It just depends what sort of depth of colour you want. That's probably enough. See, so I hardly used any of that. We didn't even need quite that much. And then for the nose, I've just used some Flirty Flamingo. Let's clean that off. And I should just show you, I just add a bit of water to that if I'm using this. And then just pop it, do the same thing. Pop that on there, get the colour down. And try not to, which I have then got a bit close. So you want to stay away from the edge. I'm just going to have to go over that a little bit. And you can just pick up the colour. You've just got a clear brush, if it's clean, and pick that up, and it will take it away. So then I'm just going to take a bit of the colour off here and just add it onto here, just to create a little bit deeper colour on this side. And actually I didn't follow one of the things which is quite good to remember, is to do a colour colour in away from where you've just coloured, so it won't bleed into the other colour. So So I'll do that now. I'll move and colour something a bit further down so that, let's close that up. For the beard, oopsie, sorry, the beard, oh that's a bit close too. I'm just having a look at my, for the hands, we'll do the hands because it's crumb cake. So just really want, really, make sure your brush is clean. So just give that a squirt off. So just pick up a bit of that. And I'll just, so it's really tiny, so tiny area. So add that bit of colour to there. Just add a tiny little bit of darker just on there. It doesn't really matter too much. Right, and I'll do the shoes while I'm here because that's crumb cake as well. So that's sort of further away, which is good. So I'll just do here, and I'll add just a bit of darker, just give a bit of shading. Another way you can add if you want some extra colour, so is to just bring in the Stampin' Up marker and just put a bit of colour in. Like that as well. Or just pick it, you can even pick it off here. If you don't have the ink pad, you can just add it from here. So there are a few different ways of adding some colour. And then what I might do is just colour these things here too while I'm waiting for those other little bits to dry. So the grass, pop that on there, cover that in. Do the same thing, just pick up a little bit of the darker just to go here. And that will bleed on in as well. Make sure that's nice and clean. And I'm doing the balloon and the flirty flamingo as well. Lighter on this side and darker on the other, so I'll just colour the whole thing in the light and then pick up a bit of the dark from here. And I like sometimes the way it just spreads itself, it gives it a nice sort of organic look. Just add a tiny bit in there. And then we'll go back to here, which is bled a little bit. Just make sure that's nice and clean. A little bit more of that green. It's okay. And then what else have I done? I've got the blue, he's got a blue coat, so colour that there, and you don't see too much of that, so and it's so tiny, I'm not going to worry too much about shading or anything on there. Just get a bit of colour on. It's going to be a wee bit covered anyway by the sentiment. And right off there. And the flowers, I'm not sure, I may well have on those, the colours are on the list, but I'm just going to use on this one. Pop it in darker on this, use the same colour. Sure if I did on the original, sometimes it's a little tricky. I did write all the colours down. I've got a whole pile of different colours on my desk now, so it could have been a pink, but this is nice because it's darker and it ties in with what we've already got, bringing another colour in, which is sometimes good. Right, so I'm going to leave that to dry before I start colouring in the bed, which is going to be grey. So just pop all that to one side and just fussy cut these so they aren't too difficult. Just going to whiz around the string. So if you're not if you don't want to do it in watercolour, you could always do the colouring pencils. You could just colour it with the Stampin' Up markers or the blends. I just found with the beautiful balmy blue paper, I wanted a more subtle look, which you get, you know, took off from doing this watercolour look. See, not too hard to cut out. And then the little bit of grass. I'm not going to do those little bits at the side, just the main 3 pieces. Of course, it's summer here and it's a beautiful day, so I've got the window open, so hopefully this won't take too long to dry. So I'll just set those aside just before, till I do the beard. And what I'm going to do now is prepare this background piece here. So I've got a piece of the Fluid 100, which is brilliant for, just gonna need a bit more light on there, which is brilliant for when you're using the blending brushes. So I'm using, the background on that is the balmy blue. So I'm just going to pick it up from here, and I like to just pop it into here, just so I don't waste it if I pop it onto there. And then I'll start, because the gnome is going to be there, I can start my ink there, because if it doesn't, if it gets a bit blobby, that's going to be hidden. But I do find with this paper you don't get that sort of blobbiness that you do with other papers. Just going to add that, just keep on colouring it out. And why I die cut later is because when you die cut to start with and then you put the colour on, you get it all in the, it sort of settles darker in the stitched areas and on the edge, so you avoid that. I'll just take that out. Just want to get a bit more colour in there, and then take it, blend it out a bit more. And don't be afraid if if you mess up, just turn it over and start again. I think that's probably, just want to still have a little bit of white, or that sort of is more creamy actually, this paper, but still looks good. So I'll bring it in the machine again. And this is a stitched square die from the Stylish Shapes dies. Just put that on there. Come that through. Tight. It's better on an angle these dies. They go through a bit better, but I have to get my other machine. But it does go. Just have to use a bit of strength. So we've got that all ready to go. That is going to go onto here with dimensionals. And then that, I've popped that so it's nice and equal distance from all three sides. So about there, I think that looks okay. You can't always tell until after it's down. So now, hopefully that's, I'll just get rid of that and get a new one. That there, and I want to colour that with the smoky slate. I just wanted to give it a little bit of colour, but without too much. Let's take the whiteness off. So I'll just go, and I won't worry about, see I've gone over that. It's going to be hidden. You can always hide something with mostly a gem or a sentiment or something. And you could add more to it by, you know, filling in those lines, but just going to get a little bit of colour on today. And then while that's drying, I'll do the sentiment. So I've got the Love You, and I need my mat again. I've got a little bit of basic black cardstock, my embossing buddy, and my Versamark. Just going to stamp that onto there. And then I've got the basic white embossing powder. Nice and covered. And then I'm just going to heat set that, so I won't be a moment. Doesn't take too long, and I'll just bring in my mini guillotine because I can get really close with that, but you might have a die that would work. This little die here, actually, that would work. You could either make it smaller, or once you die cut it, just chop off the ends. That's from the Give It a Whirl set. Done that. Now it's just a matter of popping everything together. So I'll add some dimensionals to the back of the gnome, and I want one on the back there, and just a tiny little, actually one of the little mini ones will be, I just tuck in there. Good, works perfectly. Take the backs off our little gnome, pop that about there, and then the balloon is going to tuck that so that it'll just sit under there like he's holding it. See? Then I don't have to worry. It doesn't seem to want to stay under there. There, so it's under there. And then the little bit of grass. Line that up with his feet. And then lastly, I'm going to pop this Love You. Just going to cut a couple of these in half. Actually, I might, it's going to need, see what end, just might pop one on top of the other for this, because that is going to be off the edge there, so it's be nice and flat that way. And then lastly, I've got these beautiful sequins, which are the pastel adhesive back sequins from the new catalogue. They're so cute. So I'm going to pop a big one down here and a little one, just pop that, offset that from there, and one up here. And that is my little gnome card. So thanks very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you make one, please tag me. I'd love to see what you came up with. So thanks again. See you next week. Bye.